teach biology for NEET competitive exam. Today's discussion, in the past classes, we have been discussing about plant growth and regulators, that is in phytohormones. In the previous classes, we discussed as a 4 parts. Now we are going to discuss about phytohormones, means plant growth and regulators, part 5. And in the part 5, we are going to discuss about the last hormone, that is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid. Abscisic acid, in shortcut we can call as ABA. There is a brief history about abscisic acid regarding their discovery. Adicott and his co-workers, they try to understand there is a hormone responsible for absorption of cotton fruits. There is a scientist name is Adicott as well as and his co-workers. They both were studied on a plant of, the plant name is cotton plant. In the cotton, especially on fruits, means cotton fruits, he observed cotton fruits are abscisic, in the sense going to fall off due to their ripening, due to their maturity. And these scientists observed there is something phytohormone. There is something phytohormone is secrete for absorption of cotton fruits. Later, they named as different names. That they thought of one hormone is secreting called as an absorption 1, and they observed along with this absorption 1 other type of hormone is responsible for absorption in the cotton fruits, that is named as absorption 2. But later they concluded their conclusion for this discoveries, instead of absorption 1, absorption 2, different way hormones, there is only one hormone is secreting. There is only one hormone secretes. The one hormone named as abscisic acid. Abscisic acid. It is one of the phytohormone. There is a phytohormone, that is a phytohormone inhibitor. Means axins, zibberellins, cytokines, promotes plant growth and development. But ethylene and abscisic acid inhibits, stops plant growth and development. It is also one of the activity. So phytohormones, the last hormone is abscisic acid. In the abscisic acid, it is one of the inhibitor. The brief history is abscisic was discovered by Adicott scientists along with his co-workers in a plant of cotton fruits. Dear students, now you can try to understand the physiological effects of abscisic acid. Physiological effects mean how this abscisic acid acts on plant growth and development. The first feature is then abscisic acid, shortcut we get it as an ABA. ABA is a plant growth inhibitor. Meaning is it reduces the plant growth and development. 1%. Means almost all the functions will be reduced. The second one is this abscisic acid inhibits. One is metabolism of a plant as well as seed germination. Seed growth and development will be promoted, but seed germination is reduced. seed growth and development will be promoted because of for maturation. When a fruit will be mature, the fruit will be ripened. When the fruit will be ripened, fruit will be getting an absorption and faster. But fruit seeds growth and development will be promoted. But seed generation will be reduced, inhibited. What is the meaning of metabolism? That you know the various life processes have been going on here. There is a constructive life process as well as destructive life process. Means anabolic process as well as catabolic process. Almost all the metabolic activities will be reduced. The speed of the metabolic activity will be reduced, like photosynthesis, respiration, whatever. The third feature is abscisic acid stimulates closing of stomata in epidermic or epidermis of leaf. That you know that there is a leaf is as per this third statement, there is a stimulates closure of the stomata in epidermis. Or you know that in the leaf surface there is a stomata present. The stomata are open and closed in the different situations. Their stomata are open when the more amount of water is available. When the water level is more, means sufficient, stomata are open. Because of when that more amount of water is available, stomata are open. When the stomata are open, transpiration takes place. Means the rate of metabolic activities are maximum. Then, when the stomata melts, water amount is less in a less water condition, the stomata are closed. The stomata are closed because of water condition is less. When the water condition is less, the transpiration level of will be less. When the transpiration takes place maximum, water amount is maximum, the metabolic activity will be maximum. When the water level is less, then transpiration will takes place less. In that way, then depends on rate of metabolic activities. Means the rate of metabolic activities will be less. But when the stomata are open, the amount of abscisic acid, in the sense, the amount of abscisic acid secretion is less. But the amount of abscisic acid is more. Means in the two situations, here there is enough of water, there is enough of transpiration, the rate of metabolic activities will be maximum. Then the amount of abscisic acid secretion is less. But when the amount of water is less, then the transpiration will be affected by closing of stomata. When the transpiration will be affected, amount of water available is affected, the rate of metabolic activities will be fast down. Means abscisic acid secretion is more. Means abscisic acid secretion is more when the plant is getting the stress. That is environmental stress. Environmental stress means when the conditions are unfavorable. When the plant is getting the stressful conditions from the environment, the amount of abscisic acid always secretes more. Hence, that abscisic acid also called as a stress hormone. The abscisic acid secretes in the environmental stress conditions. This is the last concept in this chapter. There is a plant growth and development. There is a word of vernalization given in the textbook. Vernalization is the meaning is plant can flower when they exposed to low temperature. Some of the plant species can be flowering only at the low temperature, but some of the plant species can be flowering only at high temperature. Based on this situation, then vernalization word was introduced. The definition is given like that. There are some plants for which flowering either quantitatively or qualitatively depend on exposed to low temperature. But these plants flowering at low temperature do not flower at high temperature. But some of the plants which are flowering at the high temperature cannot be flowering at the low temperature. So as the Indian calendar, we know the seasons. There is a winter season, summer season, rainy season, autumn season. As per textbook, these two words are given here. The winter season, otherwise we call as the spring season. But in the textbook, the word is given as spring season. It is starting with the December month, ended with February. In the sense, almost all at the low temperature. The low temperature in between 5 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius. At this low temperature, some specific plants can be flowering. And summer season starts at the March and ended with May. It is the temperature is high temperature. It is the maximum is 40 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius. In this season, some specific flowers can be formed from the plants marigold. The third one is the rainy season, or we can call it as a monsoon season. It is starting with June and ending with September. Some flowers. If the temperature is a room temperature like 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Then last season is the autumn season. It is starts with October, ended with November. Some special plants can be flowering through autumn. The temperature is in between like 25 to 35 degrees Celsius before starts the winter season. So according to the Indian seasons, there are 4 seasons are here: winter season, summer season, rainy season, and autumn season. As per textbook, the concept is the plants which can flowers in the spring season cannot be flowering in the autumn season. The plants which are flowering in the autumn season means they can produce the flowers and seeds and cannot be produced in the winter season. Then example for winter season, spring season flowering plants are tulip. The tulip cannot be formed, produces flowers in this autumn season. In the autumn season, croton, it cannot be produces flowers during the winter season. But some of these plants can be flowering irrespective of the seasons. Example, wheat, barley, as well as grain. These variety of wheat, they can flowers in the autumn season and also can be flowering in the winter season. Which are having the capacity to grow in the winter season also can grow in the autumn season. As per the flowering nature, some flowers formation is possible only at the low temperature, some flowers production is possible at the high temperature, but some of the plants can flowering possible at the low temperature as well as high temperature. Students, in these previous classes, we discussed about plant growth and development. Then in order to understand phytohormones like axins, gibberellins, cytokinin, abscisic acid and ethylene, and also we try to understand the scientists and the discovery of various phytohormones, and phytohormones and their physiological functions, and also we try to understand mineralization as well as photoperiodism. In the next hour, we are going to discuss about one more plant physiology topic, that is mineral nutrition. We can see the few more physiological effects. Few more physiological effects of abscisic acid on plant species. The next point is abscisic acid act as antagonist of gibberellic acid. The denote of gibberellic acid, shortcut we get it as Za. Antagonist in the sense the abscisic acid is work against, means opposite of gibberellic acid, means whatever the functions are promoted or encouraged by gibberellic acid as a phytohormone, those functions will be suspended or inhibited. There are few technical examples we can see. Gibberellic acid promotes, means breakdown seed dormancy, breakdown dwarfism, promotes internodal growth, then promotes overall plant growth and development. But this gibberellic acid, abscisic acid, works against of gibberellic acid, hence it is called as an antagonist of gibberellic acid. This question was asked in the previous NEET paper. Which hormone is called as an antagonist of gibberellic acid? That is an abscisic acid is called as an antagonist of gibberellic acid. Now, few technical examples. That is a gibberellic acid act on is a seed dormancy. Seed dormancy means seed dormancy is induced, means promoted, and as well as promotes bud dormancy. induce bone dormancy. It is also act on apical dominance. Apical dominance generally promoted by abscisic acid, but apical dominance is inhibited by apical dominance promoted by acids, but apical dominance inhibited by abscisic acid also acts on and responsible for abscission. What is meant by abscission? The old portion of a plant became fall off or drop off. Then one more is an senescence. Mean the end part of a plant became old due to the maturity. Then take example of there is a young leaf. After that maturity, they became old leaf. Means young leaf is green in color. Due to old, they became yellow in color. Take the example of fruits. The young fruit, take the example of mango. The young fruit of mango is green in color. The older one became yellow. Take the example of tomato. The young one is green. Tomato fruit, but due to their old one, they became red. Means any portion of it in a plant, any portion is become old due to their maturity. This statement, this function is called as abscision. After senescence, the old portion, there is a time comes or falls off. The fall of old portion is called as an abscission. Take the example of a mango. There is a mango tree. For the mango tree, there is a mango fruit. The mango fruit is in earlier phases. Day to day, the size of this mango fruit is increased. And in earlier, they are a green color. Due to their maturity, they became yellow in color. After the maturity, there is a small layer forms in between fruit stalk as well as their branch. The layer which is formed in between the fruit stalk and branch of a mango tree called as an abscission layer. The abscission layer is formed due to secretion of abscisic acid. But green color mango fruit is became yellow due to the secretion of abscisic acid. This process is called as an senescence. But the fall of this mature fruit is called as an abscission. In that apical dominance as well as bud dominance as well as seed dominance induced is takes place, but apical dominance inhibited takes place, but abscission as well as senescence will be promoted. We consider the few more functions of abscisic acid or physiological effects of abscisic acid. It have an important role in seed development. Means seed germination will be inhibited, but seed development will be promoted, as well as seed maturity. The third one is seed dormancy. What is meant by dormancy? In that seed, conditions are favorable. Conditions are favorable even though seed does not germinate. Even the conditions are favorable, seed does not germinate due to various reasons. That condition we can call as a seed dormancy. Means abscisic acid promotes seed development, seed maturity, seed dormancy, along with the following discussed points. In the competitive point of view, then these two words were asked in the previous. One is an antagonist of zeolite acid. Which of these following hormone act as antagonist of zeolite acid? In the given options, abscisic acid is a right option. The one more question was asked. There is a stressful hormone. Stressful hormone means out of these given five hormones, axins, gibberellins, cytokinin, abscisic acid, methylene. Which of these following hormone is known as stress hormone? That also option is the right option is abscisic acid. Means due to the environmental stress, when the environmental conditions are unfavorable, plant will be protected and extend their lifespan. Means this hormone secretion is more in the stressful, environmental stressful condition. Dear students, at last we will try to understand that two more words. One is an photoperiodism, the second one is an vernalization. Photoperiodism means in flowering plants, the flowering of the plant depends upon availability of light duration. There is a daytime availability and nighttime availability. Based on the availability of light during day and night, flowering of a plant is affected. This phenomenon we can call as a photoperiodism. The definition is given as that. The influence of relative duration of day and night on flowering responses means when the sunlight is available, long sunlight is available, some plants can go for flowering. But sometimes some of the plant species can be flowering when the light is available for short period of time. Based on this phenomenon, plants are categorized into three types. One is the short day plants, otherwise called as a long night plants. That very simple. The short day plants have the daytime is in between 8 to 10 hours. The night time is available is 14 to then 16 hours. But some plants can flowers only during the short day plants. Example for short day plants is tobacco. Then one more is a long day plants, otherwise short night plants. The short night plants time availability, the daytime availability is 14 to 16 hours. The daytime availability is night time availability is then 8 to 10 hours. Means these plants are flowering due to the daytime long availability. Example for this one is lettuce. The third type of plants are day neutral. Day neutral plants means that daytime or nighttime, whatever the time period is present, the flowering is possible. Daytime may be available 8 to 10 hours or else 14 to 16 hours, and night time is available even 14 to 16 hours or 8 to 10 hours. But irrespective of the season, irrespective of the day and night hours, they can be flowering. Example for this one, tomato. Means based on the photoperiodism, plant species are categorized into three types: short day plants, long day plants, and day neutral plants. Here you try to understand and remember the examples for each one. Tobacco example for short day plant. For long day plants, lettuce is example for this one. For day neutral plants example.